Welcome back, everyone. I'm here today with the tie project. It's laser metal engraving. Hopefully I got that right. But
Yeah.
I'm super excited to share this. This is a project that I've already, it's not directly crypto related, but I think it's very good to promote crypto peripheral businesses, businesses that will profit off of the crypto space. And, there's different products and services that we're going to see come up around crypto. And I believe this has been a great one. And honestly, I think projects just need to know about what Tyler here is doing. So without further ado, of course, always appreciate those of you who smash that like button. And if you choose to support the channel, there's links in the description to do so. So without further ado, let's get into it. Tyler, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, let's hear a little bit about you and your background, and we'll start there.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on. Yeah, so essentially, yeah, my name's Tyler Boone. I started this company called the Tie Project about almost 2 years ago now. It was January of last year when I officially incorporated, but I had been kind of working on it for about 6 months prior to that. So I think at this point, it's been over 2 years really since I officially started working on this type of stuff.
Cool.
And yeah, essentially, well, I guess I could back up a little bit and kind of give a background. So I went to school for engineering at Georgia Tech. I studied mechanical engineering. I got out in 2019, was working for an aerospace company while I was in school. And then as I was supposed to go back for my third rotation in the company I was working for, there was this opportunity to actually pursue a startup. It was a capstone project that I had been working on for actually class, and we turned it into a business afterwards
Oh,
because it kind of it took off. We were essentially designing a aerodynamic attachment to address the rear of tractor trailers to improve their aerodynamic efficiency and save money on fuel.
okay.
And so it was a really easy use case for people to get behind. It was easy to understand. And I felt that the way we were tackling the problem was pretty novel, and that there was a good chance that we could achieve success in the marketplace. And so then we got invited to do a startup incubator program that summer, the summer after I graduated. And we chose to do that instead of, or well, I chose to do that instead of go back to my third rotation. So I quit my job, kind of did this thing because I figured I could always go out and get another job, but this
Yeah.
was a once in a lifetime type of opportunity. And I was with a lot of like-minded, future-oriented, optimistic, entrepreneurial type people who had this idea and feeling that they could change the world. And it was
Hmm.
so infectious. And I'm really glad I did it. The business that we were running, we had a good run with it. We raised some money and we won multiple competitions. We did pitch competitions around the world, and it was a really great experience. But a couple of the co-founders, they had moved up to Michigan. They got full-time jobs, which I do not blame them for at all, because you
Okay.
need to make money.
Yeah.
And it sort of fizzled out, but we did get a utility patent awarded for it. So we do have that we might be able to sell and leverage in the future. But anyway, all that being said is, like, I've always had this knack for entrepreneurship, and I wanted to pursue in some capacity entrepreneurship. My dad is an entrepreneur, and he runs a wedding ring business. That's what he does. And so I grew up from a very young age just being in the shop watching him work. And so,
That's cool.
I learned how to use CAD software to design things when I was, I think, in elementary school. He taught me how to use it. And
Oh,
so
I'm
ever since
jealous.
then, I sort of knew that I wanted to be an engineer.
That's cool.
And I had a Georgia Tech hat that I brought to second grade class, and my teacher was like, isn't it a bit early to be thinking about college? And I'm like, no, I'm going to go to Georgia Tech. I'm going to be an engineer. So I had you know, I, I'm just lucky that I had that sort of upbringing, and it kind of caused me to at least understand exactly what I wanted
Hmm.
that early, because I know a lot of people, don't have that figured out for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, I went to pursue the startup thing that kind of fizzled out. Then I started working for my dad full time. At that point, helping him with the business, because at that point, with COVID and everything going on, business was slow, and I was trying to figure out ways that I could help the business. And that's when I had this idea to actually incorporate crypto into it, because I had been following crypto for a little while at that point. I think I started officially back in like 2019.
Oh,
And
okay.
interestingly enough, and this is kind of an interesting tie-in, one of our trucking company business partners that we met along the way when we were working on that truck project was the one who actually told me about XRP. Uh, so
That's cool.
yeah, so he told me about it. I started looking into it and everything, and then I realized, wow, this is really cool. And then I officially got involved in it, and it was my first real crypto investment. I mean, I dipped my toe in the water back in 2017 in the middle of the euphoria and everything, but didn't really make a whole. I actually lost a lot of money because, of course, we got in at the top because everyone
Yeah.
else did. Um, but I was sort of interested in it regardless, like a couple years later, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know anything about it, kind of thing. And that's when, when he told me about XRP, I was like, okay, I have a lead. I trust this guy. He's really smart. So I started looking into it. And the more I looked into it, the more excited I got. And it wasn't even a year after that that I started the sort of pursuing this business, and making merchandise for this community.
So and again, you don't just make, like, again, we talked a bit about before the show
Sure.
about, you don't make coffee mugs, you don't make, like, you make premium high-end laser etched metal, and
Right.
that's all it ever is, and maybe not all it ever will be, but that's what it is now, like, kind of a deal.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm trying to essentially create something that's really unique that you can't just find anywhere. There's a lot of companies out there that really lower the barrier to entry for people who want to get into e-commerce and sell physical products.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you wanted to start a Shopify store right now,
Mm-hmm.
um, you could, within maybe a 4 hour window, if you worked really hard, you could set up the whole website, and then you could download an app called Printful, or an app called Printify, or an app called whatever.
Yeah.
And they're essentially print on demand companies that will print on, you basically upload designs and artwork and things like that you have, and then you could have it, you place it on a hoodie or a t-shirt or a coffee mug or whatever. And then once you get it the way you like it, then it'll generate mock-ups that you could use that are computer generated. So they're not even real products yet, but they
Yeah.
look like real products. And so you can have a store full of products that look real, but none of them exist until someone buys one, and then the company will print it and then ship it for you. So you don't have to do anything. And all that to be said is it really lowers the barrier to entry. There's a ton of saturation, in my opinion, for products like that. And I knew that, based on sort of the skill set that I had with my upbringing, the equipment that I had access to in the shop, I could do metal artwork that could be laser engraved, that would be custom and tailored towards a specific passionate group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's kind of the key as well. If I was to go out and replicate my exact business model and pursue, say, Bitcoin right out of the gate, I would be lost in the sea of Bitcoin merchandise, because everybody makes Bitcoin merchandise and there's a lot of people in that market.
Yeah.
But I actually started with this project called Casino Coin. I didn't even start with XRP. I started with Casino Coin. So it's a project that's built on XRP.
Yep.
Um,
Which I
and
appreciate. So
yeah, yeah, and it was really cool because they were, yeah, there's one of the keychains there, one of the dog tags there for CSC, but the people who run that project, were incredibly open-minded about me, essentially making products that had their branding on it. And the really cool thing about, at least this Web3 space that I found to this point, is that a lot of these projects, for the most part, and it's certainly not all of them, but for the most part, are more than willing to allow you to use their branding, and they won't even want royalties or anything to use said branding, and intellectual property. So long as you make it clear that this is for casino coin, and you like tell them essentially what it is and where to go to find
Yeah.
them. And to them, it's like free marketing. And they're more than happy with me making money off of it. And so that was just the craziest thing to me, because I figured like they were gonna, first of all, be hard to get in the door with, and second of all, want a big cut of my profits. And so I had that
Your
in the back of my
mentality.
head going
Yeah.
in, and so, but they weren't like that. And the Sun Wallet team wasn't like that either. I tried to give them royalties so that
Wow.
they would push the stuff, but they were like, no, 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 that's your money. Like, don't worry about it. Like, we love what you're doing with Ark Plate, and we love, making some wallet stuff. So keep going with it. And same thing with Xspectar, actually. That's a more recent thing. That's not even on the website yet.
Oh wow. Okay. I was looking for
But
it.
yeah, so um, it's I'm excited about that. We can talk about what that looks like in a minute, but there's just a lot going on, and this space is really, really exciting. There's a lot of interesting projects to collaborate with. And so, as I was saying, it started with Casino Coin, and then I started with a keychain. Um, I posted it on, Twitter. I had like 0 followers at the time. Nobody knew who I was, but the Casino Coin guys, saw that I was tagging Casino Coin and stuff, and then they got excited because it's like, oh, this guy's actually making merchandise for us. Like, that's really cool. And
Yep.
so then they started retweeting it, sharing it, whatever. And that's when things started to really take off, because it got the attention of the team, and then we got officially integrated, where they were putting blog posts out there with Thai Project in it, and really representing the brand and everything. And then we branched out, worked with other projects, and then we started making generic XRP merchandise. Since the XRP logo is open source, like
Yeah.
anybody can use it for commercial purposes. So it's like I have a whole bunch of XRP stuff now, and that's kind of where it started off. And then now I've been working with projects on different chains, and it's been really, really cool. So it's and I'm excited for the next phase, because I've got a new website launching soon, and there's a lot of new partnerships that I need to still put on the website, and start really thinking about and everything. But there's just a lot on my plate right now, but it's a good kind of problem to have.
Yeah, I'm sure. You like I said before the show, I feel like you're very uniquely placed
Mm-hmm.
to partner with and to help newer projects. And I know that one of the reasons I'm shooting this is that I really do love, like, I actually have one of his keychains like right here. You can kind of see he made that. It's gonna black it out for me. Maybe I'll put a picture where I'm trying to do this. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see a little bit there.
Yeah.
But anyways, really impressed with it. Where I'm probably gonna get another one. I'm probably gonna pay to have it a little bit bigger, but it's really, really great quality. The picture came out great. I might try to maybe do something a little different so it looks, kind of along the lines of what this is in the background or something else,
Mm-hmm.
but we'll see.
Yeah.
But I really think that projects can benefit from knowing about your services, and you actually partner with them, like you said, to uh like so they can actually get the royalties too, right? I mean,
Correct.
I mean, other people have been very generous and it's like, no, it's all yours. Other people you're willing to partner with. So can you just go into that a little bit so the projects know like what
Sure.
you're kind of offering?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I understand that a lot of projects are unique in their own ways, and some have different preferences. Some prefer one thing, and some prefer the other. So I try to be as flexible as I possibly can be, as far as to how I can accommodate different projects. So for at least from my angle, it's like the most beneficial thing is for them to just say, "Oh, go on and use our stuff, and like
Yeah.
don't pay us anything." Like, that's great. But obviously that's like, that wasn't even my goal going in. I figured I'd have to, offer up affiliate commissions and things like that. But yeah, anyway, like you said, some projects, they don't even want that. So whatever. But for those who do want to partner from an affiliate standpoint, which in some ways is better because those projects become financially aligned with my interests as well.
Hmm.
So when we're selling the shit out of these dog tags or whatever it is that we're offering,
Yeah.
we're both benefiting from it, and so it makes them want to push it more, and it makes me happy as well because we're making a whole bunch of stuff, right? So it's been a really cool experience working with some of these affiliates, and one of them just absolutely knocked it out of the park. They were actually on the Stellar blockchain of all things, and it was ridiculous. We sold so many dog tags. I had no idea what was happening. And so, when they,
Did you
yeah,
sleep?
no, not for like 2 months. I mean, it
Oh
was the
wow.
most wild. It was like a limited edition thing, and these dog tags, they gave me the designs for them, and so I made them, and then essentially I put the listings on the website and then gave her the affiliate link for it, and then she put it in her group, and there was like 57,000 people in this group,
Oh
and I
gosh.
don't know, it was like a Telegram group, and they just bought these things like there was no tomorrow. I mean, I've never made so much money in one day in my life. It was just, and I was on vacation at the time too in Orlando. And I'm like, I looked at my phone and I was like, there were just all these orders and stuff. And I was like, because she didn't even tell me she was launching it that day. I thought
Oh,
it was going to be the next month or something. And she just went ahead and launched
so
it. So
communication and coordination is good here. Just throwing that
it,
out. Yeah.
yeah, I would say so for sure. But it was kind of exciting. It's like, oh man, we're eating good tonight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, but honestly though, it really does help because, like I said before, they were financially incentivized alongside me to push these products. So before the sale was even done, because they wanted to have a limited edition window where it's like by the end of April, we were cutting off all sales and they wouldn't be available anymore. And so that gave people this sense of urgency. It's like, oh my God, I need to get my order in like right now. And since there were two different designs, a lot of people ordered one of each.
Yep.
Some people ordered like a dozen of them. I mean, it was ridiculous. They bought a whole bunch. And they were all serialized. So they were each had a different number, which turned out to be a total nightmare because I had to make like 2,000 of them. And each one had to be individual. It was terrible. Um, but but the people that got them were really happy. They loved the quality of them and everything, so that was a really good sign. But also at the same time, when I first started this, I was making them one at a time, and it was, it would take whatever the number was, 6-7 minutes to make one, like at least for just the sublimation part, and then not to mention finishing it, looping it, putting it in the packaging. Like it was going to take forever to get through these orders. And I was already having people ask me where it was, because it's like I had a week there where I was still on vacation and I wasn't even back yet. And so they had already waited a week, and then I had to take all the time to make these. And so there were a lot of people that were starting to get frustrated.
Yeah.
And man, I tell you what, that can turn into a real mob real quick. And so I told the person that I was working with who was running this project, like, can you try to set expectations a little bit? Like, I'm one guy, I'm making all these myself. I'm trying to keep these as high quality as I can. And it's just going to take a while to get through these. And luckily, she was able to sort of diffuse the situation, and kind of, I made a video of me actually hand finishing it. And then she posted that in the group, and that got people to see, oh yeah, this is literally just one guy. He's doing it one at a time. This is not mass produced. I can sit back and chill for a minute, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so that really helped. But at the same time, we still had this fire under us. It's like, okay, I literally had my parents come over and help me. I told them how to do this and everything. And so they were like on the weekends, like coming over and bailing me out. And I paid them for their time, but it was literally at that point where I was like, I cannot do this by myself. But we figured out a solution to actually get a jig made where we could do 20 at a time, front and back designs at the same time, instead of one at a time, one side at a time. So we dramatically increased the efficiency of making these and reduce the rejection rate. So it was a really great experience, to kind of go through that exercise, trial by fire. All
Yep.
these orders came in, had to fulfill them, and now I'm kind of like, man, what if I could do that process improvement for every one of the products that I have in the store and really just increase the productivity of the setup that I have here and just really maximize efficiency and focus on that, and then focus on onboarding projects and doing volume and being able to actually offer more attractive, price reductions. So these are just things that go through my head
No,
throughout
it's
the day.
yeah. I in my day job, I'm into agile and lean, so you're speaking my language. Don't worry.
Ooh,
Like,
yeah, dude, I could talk about lean all day long. I mean, I'm so obsessed with that whole concept. I mean, I discovered Paul Akers and what he did with his fast cap business and his 2 second lean book and all that
yep,
a few years ago. And ever since then, I mean, I've had that bug of like, man, can I improve this or improve that?
yep.
I still got a long way to go, but it
What
is really cool to see the fruits of that effort really start to come about, because like I said, it got us through that craziness, and we're on the other side of it now and are set up to do that kind of volume to where we could make hundreds of dog tags at a time in one day, whereas before that was just impossible. There was
and the
no way.
important part is keeping the quality, right? So,
Yes, exactly. It's in fact better quality than what I was originally doing before, doing one at a time. Just dialing in the settings on the heat press, and just really just after doing so many of them, figuring out exactly what to do in order to maximize the chance of success. It really went a long way, and I think there's probably still ways that we can tweak and improve, but it's so much further along than when we first started. So
well, let me just get
yeah,
back real quick. Can you just
sure.
give like the percentages, or like how
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
partner with a project, or like, and like, so the percentages and the what the interaction will look like for if a project contacts you, and kind of setting
Yeah,
expectations
absolutely.
for them.
Yep. So sorry, I got off track there. But
You're good.
essentially, if you wanted to onboard as an affiliate, if you're a project or even a YouTuber creator of some sort, we have an option on the website, actually under the resources tab there. There's become an affiliate. So if you click on that one at the bottom, it brings you to this onboarding page, and you just put in your information, and then it'll send me a request. And a lot of people have just been like randomly putting through requests, and I also get a bunch of requests from the back end from the app itself, because it has some listing, and so a bunch of like automated bot companies and stuff that do like
Yeah.
referrals. I get spammed with those, so I tend to reject almost all of them unless I know who it is that's actually sending me the request. So I also ask for people to send me an email or a DM if we haven't spoken yet. And
Are
yeah,
your
that's
DMs open
perfect.
on Twitter?
They are,
Okay,
yeah.
just want to
So
make sure.
hmm and so people can just send me a DM or an email. An email is probably even better, just because sometimes I don't see all of the requests or whatever through DM. Most of the time I do, but there's also that contact page. So if you just wrote a message of say, hey, I'm so and so, and I run this channel, and this is what I do, or I have this project and whatever. Here's kind of the strategy that I have going forward to represent the Thai project through your products. I'm thinking of doing this, that, the other. Just send me kind of details as to what you intend to do, and that lets me know that you're serious about this, and have at least a plan. And then I'd be more than happy to onboard you and work with you. But if you become an affiliate, essentially what happens once you get approved, you have your own portal that you can log into. And it is sort of like a back end on the website. And
Mhm.
what it allows you to do is actually, first of all, have your own affiliate link to the overall Thai project website. But you could also make specific links for individual products. So if you have a product line, or like a collection or something that we work on together, then your affiliate link could go to a collection page or whatever makes sense to you. And then, if someone clicks on that link and then they go and buy something from the store, even if it's not your product, it could be just an XRP product, it could be an Ark Plate, it could be anything in the store,
Yeah.
you get that 20% cut of revenue from the sale.
So this is
So,
not just projects. You're talking about content creators and servicing other community members and their brands
correct.
here as well. Okay, that's really cool. Because I haven't seen anyone lean into that. I may. We'll see. Um, might be your
Well,
first on there, but Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we actually have Digital Asset Investor and
Okay.
Digital Perspectives and James Rule and Crypto Airy and Jenna X
Oh,
and
really?
I'm blanking. There's a few others
Okay.
projects as well. But yeah, we've onboarded a number of YouTubers at this point. But some of them push it harder than others. Like James Rule's been doing a great job. And then when Digital Asset Investor and Digital Perspectives, when they both jumped on here, they started representing Ark Plate because it's sort of in line with their brand of the types of products that they push on their channels. And we had I think we sold like, I don't know, like 15 Ark Plates or something when they made the first video. So it's pretty decent. And if they continue to go down that route and focus on pushing these, I think we could both be very successful with that. So but yeah, on the flip side with that Stellar project, I mean, like I said, they sold 2,000 not Ark Plates, dog tags, so over that. And I cut them a check for like 17 grand.
Wow.
So I mean, that was like the most I paid for anything. But and so like I said before we were even done selling this stuff, they were already thinking about what can we do next time. And so that was exciting to me because it's like, okay, these guys are really bought into this, and they really want to, basically, like, they're here for the long run, and they're thinking about my business for future products and things that they want to offer in the future. So it's just really cool, when we have relationships like that where the content creator or the project is really bought in and they're very serious about this, and they really go above and beyond and really rep this stuff and present it in the right way. Because I really do think that presentation and positioning of these products is everything. If there's a content creator who's just kind of like lazily throwing his link out there, like, no one's gonna do anything about it. But
Yep.
if it's positioned in the right way, it could be very successful. And so that's also why I don't want to just like approve anybody and everybody, because it's like, you need to have a plan. You need to kind of show me like what you're going to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know what I
I,
mean? So
I hear you. And like I said, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here is because I feel like I've had different discussions with different projects about your services,
oh,
and
cool.
not ones that have currently used you, but the ones that haven't. And I'm like, well, I haven't interviewed this guy, so let me bring him on, and I can have something to share with people. So I mean, I didn't realize you had this, but that's nice. But
Sure.
when it comes to project, again, I'm mainly focused on projects and how they can utilize your services. But this is
Yep.
really good to know. Um, and it's 20% though, and
Correct.
they need to contact you by email, fill out this form, and
Hmm.
then how long do you usually think it takes for a project from, I guess, lead time, to speak lean, like from time of concept to the product being out to be able to be purchased? Like, what does that time frame look like?
Yeah. That's a great question. And the cop out answer is it depends.
Okay, cool. Great.
Because it depends on what the product is and kind of the level of difficulty and the time that it would take for me to make it and
So
what's on my plate at that given time.
so
So
short, let's go shortest you've had and longest. How about that? Is that a fair?
sure. So like literally the shortest time frame was same day, believe it or
Okay.
not, because it was the type of product that I could just sort of make instantaneously. Like with LFGO, with Hamza and his project, if you're familiar, he contacted me because he was going to that DGen NFT event in where was that, in California, with Lost Art, and he wanted to have a dog tag made that he could bring there, and he wanted to onboard as an affiliate and sell his products, and then have an affiliate link QR code on the back of his dog tag.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made it and sent it to him, and then I made the listings like that same day for him. So I mean, it was like, because we sort of had a time crunch with this, where he needed to have it by the time he was going to this event. So I shipped it with the rest of the dog tags that were going to the event. But anyway, so it can be as early as like same day or next day kind of thing, or it could take a couple of weeks. So it does depend on what it is. If it's a full collection where we're going to have all sorts of different projects, then that could take a bit longer than if it's just like a dog tag or something. So
I gotcha.
yeah.
So I want to get in deep into the process, and this might be a long video. I'm fine with it. Hopefully the viewers are, but I like to go in depth and I like to really get into the details. So these are some of the ones you've mentioned. Are there any
Yep.
ones that are not on here that you've done work with that you're also proud of? I see obviously Galas down here.
Yeah.
See different
Um, Yep. So
people.
the most recent one that I'm really excited about is Xspectar, actually. They just recently, because I have this sort of podcast that I've been doing on X, formerly Twitter, where I discuss entrepreneurship and things like that. And I've been having Dirk from Xspectar actually on as a panelist, and he's been speaking about his project and everything he's doing. And I guess, in the last episode, we had Chris from BPM Wallet come on there, and he talked about the dog tags that they had at the London event and how everybody was super excited about it and everything, and how everybody wanted to get one. And I think that excited Dirk because he, DM'd me afterwards and he was like, you know what, man, like you've got full permission to use Xspectar branded stuff. I don't even want royalties. Just like send me a proposal as to like what you want to do, and like we'll make it happen. So I was super excited about that because I've been trying to get in the door with them for a while now,
Yeah.
just to make, because the idea is that, and this isn't like confirmed just yet, but this is sort of what I proposed to him. He's super busy, so I haven't heard back just yet. But essentially, what I would like to do, and I already did this with Hamza's product, is there would be the dog tag that would be displayed with an example of one of the agent NFTs, images on the front, right? And the customer would go in, and then there would be a text box field that they would put the serial number of their NFT in the text box as they purchase the product, and it would be a required field, so they have to fill that out. And then what I could do is like look it up on BitHump or whatever, and get that artwork from the blockchain and actually make the custom dog tag with their avatar on it.
Wow.
So I think that's going to be a really exciting thing for people, because a lot of people, it's like they spend good money on these things, and a lot of people make them their profile pictures, or it's important to them, it's sentimental. And so to be able to get that onto a dog tag or a keychain, and to have it look as authentic as possible with as much detail as possible, to really show off that art to where they could wear it every day, and kind of be a conversational piece that could help not only them kind of just get noticed, I guess, or whatever, but it would get Xspectar the opportunity to be brought up in conversation out in the wild.
Let me ask you about this, because let's say that like sometimes NFTs are not all created equal,
Yeah.
in terms of aspect ratios or
Right.
those kinds of things. So how would, like, if you got to Xspectar and you're in that process, how would you handle it if you're doing those kind of custom things? Do you contact each customer one by one and say, hey, do you like it this way or that way? Like, what do you do?
Right. That's a good question. So the neat thing about Xspectar, at least from what I can tell, is that the they're all the square images, and they have the character in the same position in the center.
Okay.
And they don't take up the full frame of the image. And so the aspect ratio works pretty well when you just when you fit it vertically on a dog tag, it gets the
Okay.
character in frame. So
What if that wasn't the case? I'm just curious.
yeah, so if that wasn't the case, I mean, at this point I've just been doing a case by case thing. Like I just did it with LFGO and now Xspectar, so it's like very new. So it is just going to be sort of like a kind of whatever works, and I'll just kind of pick a project at a time and
Okay.
sort of take it one step at a time, I guess. But at least with the keychains, like the one that's actually on the screen right now that has all the colors on it with the XRP logo,
Yeah.
the square one, like that one, like, yeah.
Very
So that
vibrant, by the
one,
way. Very beautiful.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. And so that is the same technique as the dog tags that get the color images and stuff on it. So you get the full detail that that printer can produce, and it's actually sublimated into that coating on the metal. So it's like actually baked in there. So it's really durable finish as well. It
So
doesn't scratch very easily. But you know, for square images, it's like perfect for the dog tag, or I mean, rather for the keychain because it's a square keychain. And they're pretty large too. If you notice the comparison of the keyring loop with the actual keychain itself, some people told me it's too big. Um, so those are the blanks that I got. I might be able to get custom ones cut, but
okay.
yeah.
No,
So
that's really cool. I think that that could be, huge for NFTs, and obviously, yeah.
mhm.
How quickly can you hire people is the problem, because it sounds like
Yeah,
once
honestly,
that catches
that's
on.
I know. I know it's kind of scary because I know a number of businesses have failed because they grew too quickly. So business is a complicated thing, man. I mean, it's it's one thing if you're sort of going through the motions and just barely getting by and surviving and sort of living on really thin margins and low sales. Like that's one way to die as a business, but the other way is actually to have too much success all at once. And I sort of got I came dangerously close to that, with that dog tag story from that Stellar project I mentioned earlier. Like
Yeah.
that was that was genuinely scary because I like that was like 5 times the revenue of all of last year, all in like 1 month. And it was too much. Like it was genuinely scary because yeah, it was exciting, but it could have totally destroyed the business if people were waiting 3 months to get their stuff and then they left terrible reviews and they got really pissed off and they thought it was a scam. And because that could happen super quickly.
Yep.
And that's happened to a lot of businesses. So I'm just lucky I managed to avoid that and had the opportunity to learn from that and sort of tool up and make sure I'm ready for if and when something like that happens again. But
Well,
and
what
I hope
kind
it
of
happens again. But
right? Well, what kind of
yeah.
timelines do you, or how do you set expectations if you're hitting like a a roadblock in your pipeline, or
Hmm.
God, I'm forgetting the word.
The supply chain, maybe like
Yeah, no,
having
or
issues.
supply chain, or you have too much work and you cannot produce it as quickly as you'd like, those kinds of
Right.
things. Like how do you communicate to your customers, or what's like your service level agreement to them if such a thing does happen? Just put that out there.
Yeah. My policy essentially is to be transparent and upfront with people. So if people, most of the time, people will input their email when they make an order, and that way I can have a direct line of communication with the customer and kind of let them know, like, hey, um, this is the snag that I'm running into with the order. A lot of times, actually, I'll just have a question. Like if someone gets something a bit custom or they want something that I might not be able to do or have kind of a feeling that what I'm going to make is not what they had in mind in their head when they picked that option, I'll go ahead and send an email just to sort of say, hey, this is the situation. Like I can make it this way, but it might not be what you thought. So like, let me know kind of thing. And I've had a number of people tell me that they really appreciated me doing that. Um, but I do tend to try to email people if there's going to be a significant delay. I'll also post on my Twitter page because pretty much everybody that finds my business found it through my profile on Twitter, at least to this point.
Okay.
But at this point now, there's these affiliates, YouTubers who are getting people that I'm not reaching at all. And so I do need to start thinking about other ways to really reach out to my audience. And I think that email list from people who have ordered is the most effective way for me to communicate, but I'll try to do both just to kind of set expectations, like you said, and make sure that people are aware of whatever situation is going on. And to date, knock on wood, I mean, I haven't had any significant issues like that other than that big, dog tag order. But I haven't had that kind of like volume aside from that to really have that same issue happen. So far so good.
Okay.
Long story
Cool.
short, but I
Well,
do try to communicate.
Well, let's get into the technicals now because people are probably going to be wondering, like, how does this work and what's the difference between, and I think this is a great, because I was actually looking at the vibrance of that image that you posted, like with this one, the XRP and all
Hmm.
the all the astronaut people. And then you have like something like this, which I feel like is what I got on my keychain.
Yep.
And what's the difference between the two, and what are the options that people should know about when they're thinking about creating something with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, um, the one on the left with the flare keychains and the one that you have, those are made out of aerospace grade titanium.
Okay.
And and one of the unique features that grade 5 titanium has is that you can anodize it, which is a process that will essentially alter the coloration of the surface of the metal. It oxidizes it and creates this
Okay.
really thin layer on top of the metal. And so it sort of diffracts the light in such a way that you see a different color. And I can adjust that with, so essentially it's like a salt-based solution that I have an anode sticking down in, and then I have the electrode on the actual piece itself, and then I dip it into the solution, and then I turn up the voltage, and the voltage range will determine what the color is. So it's like, it starts off kind of in like a brown color, and then it goes to violet, and then it goes up to like the blues, and then it gets into gold, and then it goes to orange, and then pink and purple, and then it gets into green or blue again, and then green. So we can do a lot of different colors. We can't quite get every color with anodizing. Like we can't do red, for example. We can't get very good orange, but we can sort of. And like you can't anodize black. So there's a number of things that we're limited to with that technique, but I did figure out a way, like if the top right of the screen right now with the those medallions there,
Yeah, those are
like
really
that's
vibrant for, I mean, in
mhm.
compare. So,
Yeah, so those are also titanium, they're anodized, but I have the laser engraver that I have over here that I set to a really low power setting, and I can actually just laser off just the anodizing without burning the metal. So I just basically remove the top layer and just kind of get down to the bare metal again. And then I can re-anodize it at a lower voltage so it doesn't overwrite the higher voltage color. And then I can get a different color, and then I can place it back in the same jigs and I 3D print my jigs so that they maintain the same orientation, so that I can just run the next layer and it'll just do that. And I order my layers in just basically by the color of or the voltage rather. So I go in descending order of voltage so that I again don't overwrite the previous layers. So when I'm in my software, I just use Inkscape. I take the file and then I just divide it down by color, and then I sort of like orient everything, and then I divide it out so that I get the right order. Um, and
so
that's how I do stuff like that, to do those color combinations. And it was a process that I sort of stumbled upon independently. I didn't watch somebody else do it. I just sort of figured it out. But I don't see anybody doing that type of thing. I'm sure people have done it before, but
yeah.
I felt that was really cool, and I sort of perfected it with like the jig situation. With like, I literally bought a 3D printer just for that purpose. It was a cheap one, but it works really well. Um, and anyway, so that's how I do that kind of stuff. But
Okay.
to the other one, the one that has all the vibrant colors on it, that's
So this
actually a
one,
newer.
so the process, just real quick, what we're seeing, I just want to like give a
Yeah.
variety of what you're talking about. The process you just mentioned is for like these three, this
Mm-hmm.
one, the
Yep.
crowns, this guy, and
And
that's it.
top right.
The top
Well, the
right
top
is
right
that
as
too?
well. That's
Okay.
also, yep, that's also anodizing. So that's anodizing on titanium to get
Okay.
those. And then that dog tag on the left, the black one,
Yep.
I actually bought those blanks as they are, with the black. It's essentially just black anodized aluminum. So those are, I don't have the equipment to anodize aluminum because it's a different process than titanium.
Okay.
And so I just get the laser and I can do that white engraving on the black dog tag. So I have a number of different options for that. And then the dog tag in the middle there is just engraved at the top, actually. If you scroll up a little bit, um,
This one?
yeah, this one, that one's just laser engraved. So it's just like, there's no anodizing or anything, but it's just engraved with black gray and white, just to kind of do the grayscale of that image. So that's another option that we could do. And then the last option that you had mentioned is the really vibrant colors like that, and that's sublimation, which is a totally different process. And I had to buy new equipment recently in order to achieve that. So sublimation is essentially, yeah. So sublimation is you need a it's a you print on this special paper. It's like, it's basically you have a glorified printer, and it has this sublimation ink that it uses, and it prints your image on the paper, and like I said, it has super high resolution, like over 2,000 dots per inch, so you can do really high resolution detailed images. And then you get the sublimation blank, and you actually tape it onto the paper, and then you heat press it on, and then the heat will, it's like 400 degrees. It takes that image and it actually like bakes it into the coating on the piece. So when you take off the paper, it kind of leaves that image imprinted into the piece. And it's a really durable finish. Like, it doesn't scratch very easily at all. And it leaves a really high quality result that I'm really pleased with. And so it opens up so many doors. And I'm going to be kind of exploring sublimation more as I go, because it's been the most profitable, choice that I've made so far as a business, is to go this route. So
this is beautiful, and I could just see the detail and the colors come through. So like you couldn't even tell that's metal, in my opinion. Like,
yeah, because it's really it's metal, but it has a special coating on the top of it, and it looks white when you first look at it, before there's any print on there. And so but then the back of it's just like brushed metal. So on the back side it is metal, but the top side has that coating on the top that is meant for sublimation. So I did have to actually purchase like sublimation blanks like that, keychain and the dog tags and stuff. But that's certainly possible, and maybe we can do that entirely in-house in the future to make the sublimated parts. But I mean, they do that in scale, and so it's like, it makes sense to just buy it from the supplier. But so yeah, so that's essentially kind of like where we're at with that. And we have now the sublimation aspect is, like I said, I think we're going to continue to explore that as we go on, and add more sublimated options to the store as we go. But I think the keychains and the dog tags are a really great start to the lineup, and we'll sort of evolve as we go, like I said. But
so there's sublimation, and then what's the other one again after you, of course?
Anodizing.
So this cupcake right here is anodizing. It'll pop up. Okay, because that just looks beautiful. And then this doesn't seem like either, the way that it looks. So what is this?
Yeah, so this was a interesting one. This was something that I designed, but I had made by a third party, and I bought like a whole bunch of them and sold them as a limited run. So I only had like 100 of them made. And we sold out of them, but I haven't done that again since. But they were really popular, and a lot of people were talking about them. But I designed the image, so on the front there was like the phoenix with the fire in the background, and then the back had the XRP logo with like what looked to be swirls of water, like liquidity, I guess. So it kind of had like both, and I thought it was a really cool concept. And like I said, we did sell out of them, so maybe I'll do something like that again in the future. But if you were to buy something like that directly from a manufacturer that has the equipment to make, because those are enamel coins, so they're I think they're really heavy, and I think they're actually made from iron, if I'm not mistaken, and they're like coated with it looks to be like gold, but I mean, not real gold, but it's like it looks to be gold. And then they fill the cavities with enamel of those different colors, and then they bake it, and so it sort of solidifies into that look.
So this is not something you do, but it's something you had a limited run of, may do again in the future.
Yeah.
Kind of deal.
And the thing is like, if someone was to get, what I was going to say is, if they went directly to a manufacturer to purchase one, it would have cost like hundreds and hundreds of dollars to do, because they're buying just one. Whereas if you buy a ton of them all at once, then you know, you get that economy of scale built into the price, so you can get it for a cheaper price, and then I can resell it for a reasonable price. I think I sold those for like 1750, which people were more than happy to pay, and they
Yeah.
loved them when they got them. So you know, but I was paying whatever it was. I think it was like $5 a piece for it or something. So it ended up being a pretty good return on investment to purchase those. But I had no idea what would happen making them. So, but anyway, yeah.
No, I just wanted to scroll down. Is there anything else like that was a specific one-off or like that that we should be aware of if people see on your site just because they want to understand the range of things you do?
Sure. So there's the Xspectar tag actually, just to kind of show what I'm talking about there. So the agents I think fit really well in the aspect ratio of the dog tag. So that's sort of what we should be able to do. And there's your keychain actually.
Yeah.
So there's a good image of it. And then there's that same design that you saw the keychain up there, but on a dog tag. And I thought that those looked really, really good. And I wore it to XRP Las Vegas, I think. And so that was kind of a cool conversation starter
Is
as well.
can they do the keychains, or let me ask this because this is the same question either way.
Sure.
Are there certain limitations as to what you can do sublimation and the other one in? Like, can you have this what you did with this one? I'm
Yeah.
with the
Um,
keychain. Like, are there limitations in terms of what you can do with which products or that kind of stuff?
yeah, there are. There's a lot less limitations with sublimation. So that's sort of why I'm pushing more in that direction right now. But we can do. Some people still like the anodizing look and feel, and kind of especially when you combine it with the engraving, like we did with your keychain. It just sort of has like this characteristic to it that some customers still want.
Yeah.
But those tend to be harder for me to design because I'll even if I am provided with a file, I'll have to actually manually sit down, divide up the layers, like separate out the colors. Like, you know, it takes some time. Sometimes it could take over an hour or longer sometimes to get it just right, depending on the complexity of the file. And especially if I'm just doing one, that's like not worth, you know, really doing, to be honest. Unless I'm doing like hundreds of them, then it would be worth doing. But to do one at a time, it's like it tends to not be. I mean, this one that you had done, it was really simple. It didn't take a ton of time to do, but some people give me designs that it really takes a lot of work to separate out the layers and make it in a format to where I can laser engrave it and make the jig and everything else. So it
Well,
there.
let me ask real quick. Yeah, I guess real because I want to get to that actually. It's one of my next questions. But yes or no, are are there limitations and what can we expect from different like can you do sublimation on keychains? Can you do anodizing on dog tags, or is it doesn't matter?
Yeah, we could do both. So it does depend. Like if you were to do anodizing on dog tags, then you would need to purchase a titanium dog tag, which is going to be a different listing than the sublimation ones because those are different materials.
Okay.
So I know it's a little bit confusing, and I probably have a good deal of work to do on the website to really make everything as clear as possible. But I've just, it's sort of been on the back burner for months now that I really do need to get to. But yeah, so we can do anodizing on dog tags if you get the titanium one, and we can do all the colors and fades and patterns and everything else that you see. So we could do that. We could also do sublimation on keychains. It's just that right now I only have the option to do the square blanks for those keychains for the
Okay.
sublimated ones that are the really big ones that you saw up there. That's the only sublimated keychain I have in the store at this time.
So there's no circle
So
ones. It's just it'd be that big square.
correct.
Okay.
But I do plan to offer that in the future. You know, to have maybe like a slightly smaller version because I have, like I said, heard a lot of people say like I love it, but this thing is ridiculously big. It's like
Like a
2.5
coaster.
inches. Well, yeah, it's practically like a drink coaster, exactly. So I don't know why they're so big, but that's just what the company was supplying. But I can have custom things made, it'll just be a bit more expensive up front to do. But I mean, if people are demanding that, then we can certainly accommodate for that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so I plan to offer that and then offer circle ones as well. But just, I don't know when that's going to happen. It's not super high on the priority list right now,
I hear you.
but we do plan to do it.
I got you. And I'm sure that certain products will actually, you know, kind of move those things forward as, like you said, demand and different increases that priority. So, but no, I just wanted to ask because I feel like it's very important for people to understand, that,
Mhm.
I could have very easily thought that my keychain would come out looking that vibrant and clear and not understand the differences between the two processes. So,
Exactly.
um,
Yep.
I,
Yep. And that
I,
was a concern of mine going forward, is like, is as I have projects onboarding and they're, they see maybe the stuff I did with Xspectar or whatever, and they want something like that, but then they wanted to do the titanium route and then they get it and they're not happy with it. Like that would really suck. So, like I haven't really had that issue because when I'm working with projects and we're coming up with specific products, like we're going to have a call like this and we're going
yeah,
to talk through it and we're going to figure out what it is that they want to do. And then we can really have like a understanding mutually. It's like, okay, we're going to make a sublimated one. We're going to use this artwork. Here's a mock-up of what it will look like. Do I have your approval?
yeah,
Let's make the listing, kind of thing. So I don't just go out there and make the listing and then surprise the partners I'm working with and they're like, I don't even like that. Like I want them to be extremely happy with it so that they feel confident, actually selling it to their audience. If they don't love it, then they're not going to be an effective salesperson, are they? So
yeah. I was gonna say now we need two options to show different people to talk about it. So I might have to write the words on back of my keychain in order to remember it though. But um, that being said, let's talk about the art because when I was talking with you, this is very um when we say custom, like you said, you go through and you have to like go through every layer and then like take it out of the
yeah.
solution and do all these different things. And so just the
Mhm.
art side of that, of breaking the layers down, just going back to my logo, like let's use me for an example, just to oops, just dropped it, but just to make that, what is that what did that
Yeah.
take as an example?
Yeah, that's a good question. So what I had to do with this one is actually anodize the fade first, going from blue to purple to get the J. Is that JT, by the way, or JI?
Yeah, it's
I
supposed
don't
to be. Yeah, everyone asks
know.
that, but it was just the font that I liked, and otherwise, my initials look like the pi symbol to
Okay,
everybody.
that's
So
fair. Yeah. Okay.
it's a
So
common
the
question. I get it.
JT,
It's okay.
so the JT, I had to do that first. So the whole thing was anodized blue to purple, or actually purple to blue technically. And so that, because that's the higher voltage, that's like the 75 to 85 volt range. Then I go to the laser and then I engrave off just the orange part. So it'll just be kind of like the negative, like where all the orange is, and it'll just
Hmm.
remove the anodizing, the blue and purple off, and it'll be just bare titanium again. Then I go in and then I dip it in at the 60 volts to get that orange so that it won't overwrite the purple to blue. And then I do it a third time back in the jig, and then I do the gold, and that's down to, it's slightly lower. That's like 57 volts. So that gets that gold color.
Yeah.
And then I put it in a last time, and then I just do the engravings. So that gets the white and the black, and that's just done on the laser. So that doesn't involve anodizing. And so that's why the back of the keychain actually has the purple to blue fade on the back, instead of the gold or whatever, like you might expect, because that's on the outside, is because the whole thing had to be, and then I engraved off the negative to get to the bare metal to re-anodize it again.
Okay.
So
I
yeah.
I have a question on the white and black, but I'll say that for a second because I want to get to like when people submit stuff to you, like let's say like take a normal uh what do you call it? Swag store or whatever what do you want to call this? Obviously, this is very premium, but
Yeah,
you'd go and
e-commerce
you'd upload
store.
your image and you'd say, "Oh, well, okay, put that on a shirt, done." But the best way for a customer to give you things, do you have any kind of I know it's all very custom, but you give them any kind of instructions to be like, hey,
Mhm.
if you want to help me out, here's the resolution I need, here is
Yeah,
the files,
right.
that kind of stuff. What do people need to know from that end to be able to really give you what you need to make the best product?
That's a good question. So for the sublimation stuff, it's pretty simple because I can give them just an image outline of like the dog tag, essentially, so that they know, okay, that's the shape of it. I don't even really need to know dimensions. I just want the file to be as big as possible,
Okay.
just to ensure that we have that resolution. I can size it down to fit in my program and everything that I use. So for them, it's essentially I just send them that, and that way they can get an idea. They can size it down. I can also tell them sort of like a ratio, the height to width.
And
Um,
also, again,
eh,
this is sublimation right here, this dog tag. Okay,
correct.
cool. Just
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah,
Thought I
yeah,
seen it
no,
before.
no problem. And then what I do is once I get it in my program and then I kind of crop it so that it's the shape of the dog tag, I'll send them just a digital proof so that they see what it would look like, with the shape, to make sure we're not cutting off anything that they wanted, that they thought would be visible or anything like that. And then once they give me the okay, on that, then I can go through and actually make a physical mock-up of it, and then make the listing with the pictures that I take like this. And then they can, do their affiliate link and all that and start selling it immediately. Like they could just, as soon as I make the first one and then have the listing up, it's live and it's ready to go.
Gotcha.
So,
But you do prototyping and of course make it what you want
sure.
to. Okay.
Yep.
And then are there any limitations on the other version? And again, I'm not sublimation, but the other one. I always forget the names.
Yeah, the anodizing. Yeah.
Anodizing.
So,
Okay.
with that, it's hard to come up with like a streamlined set of limitations, but essentially I try to limit it to, say, like maybe 4 or 5 colors. And
Okay.
I would prefer it if those colors were solid and that there weren't like fades in the design itself, because if there's fades, it's hard for the software to differentiate between the colors.
Oh, sorry.
It'll
Yeah.
No, 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 you're good. Like in this case, it was fine because there was just a single fade, and I could actually include that.
Okay.
And so like that wasn't as bad. But there are some things that are like, they're like actual, like that. If you scroll up to the Xspectar image, I mean, that right there would be really, really hard for me to do
Oh, the subtle
with,
fades. Okay.
yeah, like the subtle, the yeah, like
Shadows of
the
the
shading and
yeah.
all that, and the shadows and all, like it would really come out looking horrible. Like you wouldn't be able to see the face. The face blends into the background. Like it would all have to be the same color, and the colors I have to approximate, because I'm fairly limited in the scope of colors that I can do with anodizing. So I wouldn't be able to do all that. But with
RGB.
sublimation, do it.
So RGB, CMYK, anything they need to know or doesn't matter sending you stuff?
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
If they send me like an image file, or even better yet, like a vector file, like an SVG, like I could work with that and kind of get a proof of concept going.
Okay.
But yeah, generally people just send me images and I kind of work from there.
All right. No, that's cool. If I'm going to be handing this video to projects, I just want them to understand like, hey, um, what it takes to get through the process and how they can make your life easier and so forth.
Right,
So,
right. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
all very
Hmm.
custom. So, well, cool.
Yeah,
We've gotten through the process. We've gotten through the business side of things. Um, yeah, what else am I not asking? Like anything else you want to talk about or address?
sure. So there was one thing, which is that some companies and brands that I work with don't necessarily want to go the route of being an affiliate, because that would mean that their stuff is on my marketplace alongside all these other projects that they may or may not want to be affiliated with in any way, which is their preference, whatever. They might have their own website. And so they could list, we could do the same type of thing where I design the product, get the proof of concept, take the pictures, and essentially have everything I need on my end to be ready to produce. and then they take those pictures I send them, list it on their website, and then they can sell. And how I typically do that is I don't, if they're going to go that route, I don't have an affiliate structure for that because it's not easy for me to actually get those orders. And then, they're handing me customer information and all this, it's kind of tricky. At least not with like a backend API to where it pushes into my system in a secure way and all that, to where I can just fulfill the order as if it was coming into my website, which is what I'd like to get to down the road. But for now, what I do for those cases is I actually offer a 40% discount to that customer to where they can purchase in bulk, and the minimum order quantity for that's 25 units. So if they buy 25 or more of a certain product, then that's when they can get that price break, and then they can list it on their site, and then they can make that slightly bigger margin because they put the upfront capital and risk in. Whereas with the affiliates, they get the 20% cut by basically just sharing the link and not putting any capital down up front. So it's sort of, it's like half the benefit, but also they don't have any risk. So that's what the trade-off is. So that way, if the project wanted to just have it on their website exclusively and say they have other products like t-shirts and mugs or whatever that they fulfill themselves with their own, fulfillment center, then these products could be packaged and shipped to them into that fulfillment center. And then that could be a separate SKU. And then they could just kind of throw it in the package. If someone orders, like say a keychain and a t-shirt, they could throw that in the same package, and shipping is half the price. So it makes sense depending on where the project is. If they have their own merchandise store already, like I said, we try to be as flexible as possible. Sometimes they don't want to have any involvement at all. They're too busy. They're like, whatever, just like, you can make it as free advertising for us. We don't want any royalties. Some want to do the affiliate route, and they'll actually put in the sweat equity and kind of push that. And then some of them, they want to have their own store. So we could do all the above, really.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And what about these cutouts? That they seem really ornate too.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
goes
So
into that, and what do they need? Do projects need to give you anything special for those kinds of things?
yeah, typically with cut through things like that, they would need to send me either an image or a DXF file or a vector file that is just either, well, if it was a DXF file, then it would already be, in the lines that I'd be able to work with to create the laser toolpath for cutting. But if they send me an image, it needs to be just like monochrome, like black and white with the design. And essentially, like, you would have standard laser cutting rules with that. So if you want to have something cut through, you can't have anything freestanding. Everything needs to have supports, or else it'll fall through. There's certain tolerances that we need to be aware of, depending on like the thickness of the metal. Like so those medallions are an 1/8 inch thick. So typically with laser cutting, you want to be in between like 1/4 of, or between 1/4 and 1/2 of the thickness of the material is the kind of gap that you need to leave in between cuts or in between standing metal. That way you can ensure that you can evacuate parts and post-process them effectively. So there's just like little things like that. And a lot of times I can do that tweaking on my end. So like they don't have to worry too much about it. But if it's really bad, like where I get the file and I notice there's a lot of issues, I'll just go ahead and send it back to the customer and be like, hey, here are some of the issues that I'm seeing. These need to be adjusted. Get your designer to think on this, and then send it back to me, and then I can work with it. So these dragons, I mean, that came from an image, and I ended up tracing it. And yeah, like that ended up being a really successful product just in of itself, to that particular community. It had a really cool design. I was really impressed with those, and that's titanium. So we could do fades on it like that, or we could do other pattern designs as well. So
Okay.
this one in particular, we just had the dark to light blue fade. but a lot of people just bought it with the raw titanium brushed finish. Some people bought it with the pattern. So it was kind of cool how there were the different options that people could pick, and most of them went with the higher end version with the anodizing.
Cool.
So yeah.
Um,
The one other thing too is Ark Plate, which we didn't touch on yet, and that's a really awesome product that I'm really happy to be able to offer. So I didn't actually come up with this idea, but the guy who did come up with it started his company at the same time that I did about 2 years ago, and we met each other on a Twitter space. And I fell in love with the idea of what he was doing. Essentially, it's just a stainless steel plate that you can punch your private keys into for your Sun wallet, and that will essentially just allow you to have the peace of mind that your keys are safe. If you're self-custodying, which most people in this space I think are. I mean, most of us are not keeping our crypto on exchanges anymore after all the craziness that has unfolded. So we have partnered with the Sun wallet, and we've made these plates that work specifically with the way that their keys are structured. Each of the plates comes with a Sharpie and a punch, as well as a 10-sided die, which I'll get to in a minute. But what you do is you get your key, and then you essentially fill in like a Scantron when you're in grade school, the number associated with the key, and then it's divided up into the letter sections to kind of make it easier to digest.
yeah.
And you fill it out. You triple check that it's correct. You look at it, you look at your key, make sure you traced it correctly. Once you've confirmed that it's correct, then you go behind it. You go over your Sharpie marks with the punch, and then you hammer it in, and it makes a divot where that hole is, or where that that mark is.
Does it punch
And
all the way through, or is it just like an indentation?
it's just an indentation.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're not going to punch all the way through. It just indents it, and that way, and just that alone is permanent. So that's going to outlive you. And you can pass that down for literally for generations to come, and that plate will be intact and readable. We've done fire testing on it. It's made out of 304 stainless steel, so it's highly corrosion resistant as well. So it could be underwater for years, not ever corrode or rust or anything. So it will be functional for years to come, and they're so small that
They are.
you could put them anywhere, really. I mean, you could duct tape them to the back of your refrigerator, or you could bury them in your backyard, or you could put them in a Swiss vault if you wanted to. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could secure these things, but I just think that having one is a really good idea. And there's a lot of other ways that you could secure your keys. I mean, it's a simple concept, right?
Yeah.
But we tried to make these in as efficient of a way as possible. And that way we can really get the cost down to production, and then pass on those cost savings to the customer. So we're offering these plates for just $25 right now. Whereas a lot of the competition out there, they're charging over $100 for something like this, and it literally does the same exact thing.
But these are they're not that big. Like they're
No, yeah.
they're like that. I was kind of surprised. The way they look on the website, it kind of looks like they're the size of my hand, and they're really like the size of my index finger. So I was like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah, I need
okay.
to probably put a quarter next to it for size reference. That's a good point. So just because hopefully people aren't disappointed when they get it. It's like, oh, this is really small, but I don't know if people can see me on
They
camera
can.
or not. Okay,
I'll
but
blow you up. Give me 1 second.
okay. So I have one. This one in particular was a custom Ark Plate that was done with Ginfinity, the King Solomon's company, so it has like different patterns on it,
Yeah.
which I'll get to in a minute. But this is the size. So I mean, it's pretty small. You can see it in my hand. You know, they're relatively thin, about 16th of an inch thick. But they do the job, and it really works. And they're double sided. So you can have one key on side one and one key on side two.
Oh, for 2 different wallets. Okay, cool.
For 2 different wallets. So if you think about it, like a lot of these plates, I mean, you only have the ability to store one phrase on the wallet. So, for $25, you can have 2 wallets secured. That's a pretty good deal, I would say.
Or if you need to switch wallets for whatever reason, you don't have to worry
Yeah.
about knowing it's on a different one. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and what's also cool about, since, long story short, I mean, so Dave from Ark Plate, you know, he had his company, and he was having these things mass produced in China. And he was, back in 2020, he was sort of worried about the potential of, you know, like the whole Taiwan issue. You know,
Yeah.
who knows what was going to happen with supply chain? COVID just happened, geopolitical uncertainty. So he was just as a rational business person, kind of worried about, what if my supply chain completely goes down and I can't get my product. So, you know, he knew that I had worked with metal products and stuff in my store. That's what I do for my business. We became friends. We were talking, and he just sort of asked me the question. He was like, "Can you like replicate my product and make it yourself?" And so we had a 3 hour long Zoom call. We're just like, you know, we're just drinking beer, and we're having a conversation. I'm on the laser, and I like made one, and I was like this, is that what you're talking about? And he's like, oh my god, you know, that looks really cool. That's like better than the one that I have. So he ended up, we're completely transitioning over to Thai project manufacturing. So it'll be made by me or my employees in the future, hopefully.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we make these in-house here in the US, and so we can ship them from here. And so the turnaround time's really good. We make them to order, so we don't have like a whole bunch of inventory just ready to go, but we do make them to order, and we typically get them out same day or next day, honestly, at this rate. But also, what I was going to say is, like, the advantage of making it to order is that we have an option now where people could, you know, pay just a little bit extra and have something custom engraved on the back instead of the Ark Plate logo with Ark Plate Sum. You could have like your logo or your name on there or whatever, like just to indicate like what wallet it's for. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
So it's
I think
custom
that's,
too. So yeah.
yeah, so that's an interesting feature that a lot of people have actually just gone ahead and paid the extra for. Um, you know, some people order multiple Ark plates, and then they'll have different names on them so that they know what each one is.
Yep.
And so I think, like, if you have a dozen wallets, like, for whatever reason, it would be good to know which Ark plate is for which wallet.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
I
Uh,
appreciate you bringing that up because I definitely didn't want to forget it. I do want to like ask you though, when it comes to scaling, because this was also a good thing you brought up about, you know, how big the Ark Plate is. How do you want to share other different products in terms of like how the size and understanding how big they are? Because some of those, I don't know if they're discs or whatever they are, but they seem pretty big in the picture.
yeah.
So like, let's
So
talk about
yeah,
economies of scale here.
I think I have. So that enamel one that you had seen it's 2 inches in diameter. I don't have right on me in this room anyway.
We can talk about it. It's fine. Just to give an idea real quickly before we end
Yeah,
up.
but this is about the size. So it's the same, like the ones that, like the dragon one and the crown one and the XRP medallions and the other things that are on the website are the same exact diameter and thickness as this one. It's just
Okay.
made out of titanium instead of the whatever this is.
Okay.
And so that's for reference what the medallions look like. And so
Okay.
they're just collectible pieces that people tend to just store on their, you know, have on their desk or on their shelf or whatever. Sometimes I need to make like little stands for them or something so that they can kind of
That would be
stand
cool.
up. But yeah, so they're just collectible items. They don't really have any sort of purpose per se, but they're just kind of cool. Some people literally told me that they keep them in their pocket and they carry them with them everywhere. And like, whatever floats your boat.
Right.
But
You like two-face and flip a coin if you need to, but
yeah, exactly. That's what
make
it
a
could be for.
decision.
Make decisions throughout the day, you know, just heads or tails. Um, but yeah,
So
so it's been cool to do all that. And
like
as
mine is
far
like
as,
an inch, like in terms of like how big it is. The
yeah,
you
that's
have
like, I think it's like an inch and a quarter
inch.
actually,
Okay.
about, yeah.
I'm you made it. I trust you. But like the but and what about the dog tags? Those are just normal dog tags, same
Yep.
size.
Yep. I got, so the dog tags, so this one I had showed before, but that's the size of like the sublimated ones. All of the blanks are the same
Okay.
size. And then this is like the, my battery signal just came on. So this one is like what a stainless steel or a titanium one would look like. So they're pretty much the exact same
Okay, cool.
This one has a design on the front of it. I was just testing out how complex I could do engraving. So it's like flowers and butterflies going on. I found this artwork, and I was impressed. I was like, damn, I could do more complicated stuff than I thought. So I think over time we're going to really expand the offerings and stuff, but it's just been like, where do I focus my time next? Like, what's the critical path? And right now it's developing the new website, coming out with the new product offerings that are the higher ticket items, like the rings, and the precious metal stuff going forward. And then once that's up, then we're going to focus on like really building out other partnerships. Like with King Solomon, I mean, he's been trying to get me in the door with like the Hedera team, you know, like the actual Hedera company itself, and maybe make merch for them, which if we could pull that off, that'd be crazy. Same thing with the VeChain team and maybe the Casper team. So we've got some big plans for, you know, horizontal growth outside of the XRP ledger, which I'm really excited about, because I think that's another aspect of my business that, you know, as far as positioning goes, is really good.
Yeah.
You know, because we don't have to be completely dependent on one chain, you know, because we're not actually building anything on the chain. So we can kind of just provide a service to anybody building on any chain. And I think that that is a good and privileged position that we can be in, because like I said, we don't have, like, say for example, for whatever reason, and I hope this doesn't happen because I'm invested in it, but like if XRP fails for whatever, you know, then
It could
like
happen.
my business could like pivot to HBAR or whatever, like whatever's still around. Like I wouldn't just pack up shop and quit. It would be, you know, I would still believe in the space overall, most likely, unless, I mean, who knows, but that would be the idea. It's like we can kind of just get our claws in a lot of different places and become very stable. And then we can also grow outside of crypto and address, like, I don't know, fraternities and church groups and marching bands and whatever, you know, any kind of group that would like to have their artwork displayed on a piece of merchandise, like a dog tag or a keychain or a pendant or something. We can kind of get into those markets. But I think, like, for me, starting out, I thought the best strategy would be to focus on some super niche down market that I was familiar with, which was crypto. And that was how I got started, instead of just sort of coming out with this generic product and trying to sell it to the entire world, because nobody would care. But casino coin people did absolutely care. And then that kind of sort of snowballed out from there. And that's kind of where we are today, 2 years later, working with Gala Games and Flare Networks and Link2 and then these big YouTubers and stuff. That's kind of how it got to that point, was just starting out with a small group and kind of expanding from there. So it's been a wild ride, man. It's been really cool to go through this.
Yeah, it's been really cool watching it happen, because I've seen you around, and I've purchased your stuff and heard you talked about. I've been a part of your spaces, which has been great. And hopefully I can make more of them here soon. But you know, I'm very interested to know what the viewers think as well. Like what,
yeah, me too.
Very would love to know who ends up reaching out. Let me know.
Sure.
With that being said, we're gonna wrap it up here for the viewers, because it's been kind of long.
Yeah.
But hopefully got the breadth and depth. Of course, always appreciate those of you who like, share, and subscribe. If you do want to use Tyler, I may or may not have an affiliate link by the time you see this, so we'll talk about that later. But besides that, I run off the community's donations for the most part. So if you do want to donate, I have a buy me a coffee link here to do so. Otherwise, I have the Zum wallet link if you want to donate XRP. Always appreciative. But again, I'm here for you guys, and I'm here for the community. Let me know what else you would like me to showcase. If there's another peripheral business like Tyler's, let me know about it. I'm here, and I want to be here for the community. So let me know. But with that being said, I'm JTXRP. This is Tyler Boone, and we're out.